countries. I think Sri Lanka is the 98th country. And more than that, he has worked closely with many entrepreneurs like yourself in the audience, and has helped a lot of the entrepreneurs, including myself, in the many journeys and initiatives that we have launched over the last several years. Thank you very much, Jim, for joining us from your global travels and working closely with us tonight and over the last week. One key element is that this event tonight concludes a week long of activities, of entrepreneurship focused activities, where we organized 2 startup boot camps. The first one was actually in this room, the Colombo Startup Bootcamp of Venture Frontier Lanka, where we had more than 37 entrepreneurial teams that benefited from the training, mentorship, and also pitching experience and support from the mentors and judges. And we just returned last evening, deep in the night, around 10 p.m. from our Jaffna Startup Bootcamp that took place over weekend, Saturday and Sunday, where we worked closely with more than 20 entrepreneurial teams. A little bit about Venture Frontier Lanka. We are an initiative, a national initiative supported by the Sri Lankan government as well as by the private sector. The Sri Lankan government through the Export Development Board. The private sector, we are very glad to have LOLC as our partner for the agricultural sector, as well as HEMAS. And we are very pleased to have Daily Financial Times as our media partner, as well as ReadMe and a few other organizations for event partners such as Event Horizon and also Trace. Going back to the topic for tonight, we came here to actually initiate a series on ideation. Why have we launched this series? Is because as we travel around the of ideation, work with our entrepreneurs closely on how you actually come up with an idea for a venture and help them throughout the process of assessing the quality, the viability, the magnitude of the idea, and also have some organized systems to cross-pollinate ideas across different fields as well as across geographies by interconnecting our entrepreneurs with the global networks. This is a little bit about the context. We plan to launch specific ideation focus sessions on agriculture, ICT, healthcare, on education, on logistics, and for all of those we will be seeking to build partnerships with industry leaders so that actually we can organize this for the benefit of a lot of entrepreneurs. Without much further ado, I will start with questions for our distinguished speakers. What do you think, in your perspective, Harsha, about ideation in general in Sri Lanka? What type of realities are you currently seeing on the market? What type of ideas? How entrepreneurs are actually generating ideas? How are they coming up with their ideas for the ventures? Do you see any patterns? Any elements that you like to share with our audience?
All right. If I look at most of the new startups in Sri Lanka, it's averagely good, but I haven't seen much of exceptional products as yet. But I'm yet to be seen because the startup culture in Sri Lanka is pretty new. So we are not a startup kind of a nation. For the last few years or so that we started up with certain startups, and then they are coming at all sorts of ideas. But most of the ideas are okay, and then some of the ideas are trying to resolve the problems, but some of the times we are trying to resolve a trivial problem, and then some of the times we are not trying to resolve a complex problem. Complexity is like this. It's not, the problem doesn't have to be complex, but it's something that is really needed. Say for an example, like if you take any of the universities or any of places in Sri Lanka, what are the most important part? I mean, even myself is part to be blamed. Why don't we build a trash can or garbage bin that electronically operates? You know, and it you can actually put the things over there, and then IoT will say that the garbage bin is full up, and then it just opens close so that the things like flies and all these things cannot go inside. So we are not still resolving a common problem, right? And sometimes we are trying to address a problem which is not really needed to be addressed, and then that way that we are spending a lot of time developing something which we have a little marketplace.
A solution in search for a problem.
In a solution in search for a problem, yes. So that's what I'm trying to say. So basically, I think there are so many things that we can build which will really resolving human problems. But we are getting there. And then one of the other things that we need to stop is whenever somebody do parking problem, and there'll be about 25-30 people are doing the same parking problem. They are repeating the same problem as well. So we need to get out of trying to do the same thing by 20 people, the same thing. Does not make any sense. So the thing we need to have a balance between that. Which one is going to make marketable, which one we can make money as fast as possible, and then which one we need. It may take a long time, and then reap a lot of benefits.
Wonderful. Thank you, Harsha. Jim, you have been closely working with us this week in Colombo, in Jaffna, and you work very closely with a good number of Sri Lankan entrepreneurs as a speaker, as a mentor, as a judge. What type of ideas you saw across as you travel around the country, and any reflections on specifically Sri Lankan entrepreneurship ideas?
I think what drew me to ideas that people had were the fact that they already had customers. They already had somebody who wanted to buy this product or somebody who bought the product. So one of the teams that came out second in Jaffna was a printing company. And they were moving from brick and mortar to online business, but they already had 458 customers. So for me, I think it goes along with what you said. If I have an idea, I want to know that there are people who really need this product and who will pay for it. If they're not going to pay for it, or they're not going to pay the price I'm asking for it, then I don't have a business. People ask me, how do I become a speaker like you? Well, first of all, you need to have a topic that you're passionate about. And second of all, you speak about it until somebody says, how much money do I have to pay you to say that in my company? And as soon as that magical word comes up, that phrase, how much do I have to pay you to do that? Same thing with a product that I've seen here. Same with a product solving a real problem. I heard, I'm not sure that that's accurate, but India and Sri Lanka are two of the most problematic countries when it comes to plastic. So the product that won in Jaffna was a machine where I'm finished drinking out of my plastic. I go to the machine, put it into the machine, and the machine automatically puts money on my phone for that piece of plastic. I'm going to make money on this plastic? I'm not going to throw it here. I'm going to put it in this machine. Do you have a patent on that machine? Yes, we have a patent pending. So you developed the machine? Yes, we did. I like that because it's solving a real problem based on what I heard of the statistics. So it's a real problem, and I think they can get customers. I would like to be a customer. So I don't throw this somewhere or put it down and it goes into the ocean and it goes to the big island in the sea. It's really solving a real problem.
Wonderful. So market validation is one of the most important elements in actually turning an idea into an actually viable product or solution. Before we dig deeper into that subject, one thing I want to ask you is at the personal level. How do you come up with ideas for your own ventures? What is the learning process? How do you actually looking at trends and opportunities? How do you connect the dots? How do you assess the different ideas that either you are building or you are investing or supporting? I think our viewers would be greatly interested to learning also from your point of view some of the secret recipe for your initiatives, Harsha.
So my story is something I don't know if it's advisable for any of you to follow, but for me, my life is not about making money. So, full stop. So, so if I never have a book to put it up and say that, you know, if I do like this, I'm going to make this much of millions, and if I do like this, I'm going to make this much of millions, and I don't have any of these books like that. All what I do is like I follow my heart and I follow my passion. So every single product that I do is, you know, following the passion. So in my life, whatever the passion I follow, I had money, I didn't have no money, and suddenly it turned out to be serious amount of money just turned up in your doorstep. So I don't know whether the typical startup should run like that, because you know the investors are not going to invest on crazy people like me and trying to invest on crazy things like. And if you ask me, what are we going to do with Vega supercar, right? So it was an idea that suddenly said, you know, the cars in here, if you want to buy a Lamborghini, it will cost you about 1.2 million, 1.3 million dollars. I say, screw that, I'm going to build my own car, right? So it's nothing good to do with that we are going to invest in a company, build a company, and then trying to make money out of it and trying to get investors to invest on it. But it's about the passion and follow the passion, and today it's almost finished. You know, you guys can go and have a look at it, and it's almost running conditions as well. So now we realize there is a big demand for so many other things. You know, we have demand for batteries, we have demand for controllers, we have demand for the charging network. So if you go out, you can see it's like a petrol shed. So many people wanted to go there and charge their cars. Likewise. So in my sense, I only did following my passion and working on something that I really like to do, and that way that you know, it actually always resolving some serious problem. You know, what we want to do is like Sri Lanka, as you said, if you go out, the air condition, air pollution is something that we want to stop. So we want to make sure that we can electrify Sri Lanka as fast as possible. And then I always was a lover of environment, so I really wanted to go there and develop technologies that actually help the environment. And something that I never could put my hands on is actually the plastic industry, which is I'm really you know, always looking at solution how we can get rid of all these plastics. But the other side, environment and food. So I was talking to somebody that we can make artificial meat, so that we can get rid of meat usage as well.
The pollution as well. Yeah.
Pollution is the one that we've been working on. We have a Mini, the smaller car that we've been working on.
The cows are one of the source of major pollution, of course, and that basically moving to artificial meat that also addresses.
Cars and meat eaters.
Yes.
Both of them are the culprit of damaging the environment. So for me, the passion was how to resolve problem of damaging the environment. So that way that we try to make electric cars, electric chargers, and also a small car. We are converting a Mini to become electric as well. So it's just like you're having, when you know the technology, we can apply it to another problem as well. So in the formula, for me, it was, I always say to any startup guy or anybody, I'm looking at, if I'm going to invest on somebody, I'm invest on passion. You know, recently I invest on a gaming company. It was only because the guys are so passionate. And how would I know about passionate? Because these guys doesn't leave me alone. You know, they come behind me and behind me and behind me, non-stop they are coming behind me. A Sri Lankan guy normally when they comes once, twice, 3 times, they give up, right? So I let them to come behind me as much as possible. When they get fed up, it's not enough, right? Then I realize these guys are worthwhile investing, because they know that I know that these guys are very, very passionate on what they're doing.
One point here, thank you very much. As you were answering, we have a question from actually the winner of the boot camp in Jaffna, who is the gentleman that Jim mentioned, is Anu Rakavan from Jaffna, and his question for you is, you thought on a startup to convert internal combustion engine automobile to an electrical based automobile by changing minimum number of parts. Will it have a future?
You mean the conversion?
Yes, the solution, yes.
So I think today what we are doing with the Mini is actually converting the combustion engine to become electric, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we can do it for about million rupees, just under million rupees, around million rupees, and there is a massive advantage in country like Sri Lanka, because in Sri Lanka normal car taxations are seriously heavy. And if you want to buy a normal Wrangler in this country, will cost you about $100,000 or $150,000, which you can buy it in America for $40,000 or $30,000, right? So whenever somebody buys a car, the car value goes up rather than going down, right? So if they wanted to change the entire country to electric, nobody is going to get rid of all these fuel cars and try to make it to become electric. Only way is to have a conversion kit so that all the fuel cars can be electric over time. So because of that reason, converting a combustion engine to become electric will become a very lucrative business in the near future. But it has to be very solid, and it has to be done not taking pieces from here and there and trying to grab and put something together.
Talking about your interest in addressing the environment issues and plastic, of course, after our event tonight, we'll be happy to introduce you to Anu, who won the competition in Jaffna. I want to thank also our viewing sites, several universities that are partnering closely with Venture Frontier Lanka. We have viewing sites today at the University of Moratuwa, University of Kelania, University of Sri Jaya Wardenepura, University of Sabaragamuwa, University of Colombo, and also Jaffna through the partnership with the YARL IT Hub and the University of Jaffna. Please start sending us questions, our colleagues here via the social media channels. Our colleagues Indi Wari, who is our dear project manager for our event, she is collecting and she is sending it to me so that I can have the chance to actually ask it live from our distinguished speakers. I'm moving to you, Jim. You are in the business of learning and generating ideas and innovation. How are you learning? How are you connecting the dots on different industries? How do you see opportunities being generated? I'm interested more about the process of ideation, of how you originate ideas yourself and how you see this happening in the industry and with other entrepreneurs across the world that you have been coaching for the last many years.
I was in business in Hollywood, and it was with the #1 magician in the world in the 70s and 80s. And I learned a lot about bringing an idea to fruition, because we had television shows and we had to come up with ideas that were unique, but were done somewhere in the world in some way. And the way we did it was, I think, the way anybody's going to solve any problem, the process. So we would have a historic expert in magic. Here's what happened in history in magic. Another person would be an expert in optical illusion. Here's how we could use optical illusion in this particular idea that we want to solve. So let's say the idea was to walk through a wall on live television. How could I walk through this wall? Then we had a physicist. How can we use physics to do that? A chemist. Is there anything from chemistry that we could do? Then it had to be entertaining, so we had a person who was a choreographer with music and dance and lighting. How could we make this happen with that? And then we started with, I called it cue storming. You know brainstorming? Brainstorming is, you're too fast. Don't go to brainstorming. Brainstorming is for extroverts. So first you start with cue storming. Cue storming means, how many questions do we have to answer in this session? So all we do is come up with questions. What questions we have to answer? Called cue storming. Then, because we have some introverts, the scientists were introverts. You don't brainstorm, you mindstorm. Mindstorming is take 10 minutes in silence and come up with ideas to answer those questions, and then we come to brainstorming. So don't go to brainstorming too fast. Cue storm, mindstorm, brainstorm. It's a process to come up with any solutions to any situation that you put on the table. It's a process.
We have a question from Jaffna as well that I would like to ask both of you. In your experience, what type of environment supports good ideas and the creation of good ideas? Where should you be? How would you actually put yourself in the best position to be in an environment that supports good ideas? This is also a question from Jaffna. So I want to encourage the audience to keep sending us questions. Our colleagues are actually collecting and sending it to me. All the viewing sites I mentioned, feel free to ask us questions so that we can we can address them.
I think I want to hear your answer about culture. You know, your answer today was about culture, correct? Tell us about the culture and how we can overcome this, because it's the environment.
So mine is very simple. The thing is, for me, the good ideas are only generated with an empty mind. Right? Most of the time, whenever you have a cluttered mind, it's very, very difficult to have any good idea.
It's a principle from Zen, I think. First, empty the cup.
Yeah, so it's a principle I use. So I don't carry my baggage in me most of the time. And then whenever your mind is empty, that's a different story. But what I realize is, like, whenever you have no thoughts or less thoughts, as soon as you see a problem, as soon as you see something, you come up with an idea. And then you get a sort of very unbiased idea. And then sometimes I realize that why the hell the other person never saw this one. I don't know how many times you walk into a place and you see, like, should have done this, should have done this, should have done this, should have done this. For me, the ability of doing that, those ideas just came because I normally make sure that my mind is not cluttered and my mind is, and I normally be mindful in any given time. So mindfulness is the most important part for me to come up with good ideas. Now, I don't think, normally, a lot of people say that the empty spaces like this give you better ideas. If you work in a smaller, cramped up places, you don't generate good ideas. And that's the reason you need high ceilings and open spaces and stuff like that. And then you need, that's the scientific truth. And a lot of people thinking that open spaces make good ideas. So that's one other thing. Then the other thing about Sri Lanka is a very, from the day one, our parents are telling what to do. You should be studying, you should be doing this thing, you should be getting married, and you should be having children, you should be having this wife, not what you like, etc., etc. So until you die, your parents are governing you. Do this, do this, do this, and whenever you have children also, they get involved and say that your children should grown up like this, and etc., etc. So because of that reason, our brains are pretty much on a slavery mentality, you know, because we are expecting the, you know, the parent to say something or teacher to say something, you know. So the thing is, like, whenever you wanted to draw a tree, you know, the teacher will tell you it has to be brown and it has to be green and it has to be this. You know, it's not something that I want the tree to be. It has to be what the teacher has to be.
Have you seen the glowing trees? This is the new invention of actually artificially modifying the DNA of the tree to make them glow during the night.
Right.
It's like it's a very, very non-linear type of innovation. Imagine all the bulbs outside and you have the trees glowing at night.
I've seen briefly about it. I haven't read about much. But my bottom line is but you are heavily influenced to become a slavery mind. So whenever you have a slavery mind, it's very, very difficult to come up with your own idea and to make a very valuable idea. So in order, the only way you can get rid of those slavery idea, because you are scared of your mother, father, brother, sister, next door neighbor and everything, and then you are not generating new ideas because you are scared to put that idea out. Right? You probably have a good idea, but you are scared to go there and put that particular idea out because you are thinking that the other guys are going to laugh at you. You know, and the only way to get rid of that is to make mindful. And my technique is being mindful. I don't really care what you think or what other person think or what anybody thinks. And that way that you come up with better solutions than anybody else.
Accenture did a study exactly about this. It's about fear of failure and also actually becoming an entrepreneur despite of actually not having a support system at home. And they discovered that a lot of entrepreneurs actually started their business without their parents and families knowing, just as a way of not having to handle the additional pressure of on top of the pressures of building up a business. So yeah.
So pretty much it's like, you know, that's the reason even if you take all these years, nobody wanted to go there and build supercars in Sri Lanka or make automobile industry in Sri Lanka because they are fear of failing. Right? If they fear of fail, and that kind of idea never going to generate, you don't even think about that kind of idea because you think how many people are going to laugh at you, right? So just imagine if Vega goes wrong, there's millions of guys are going to laugh at me. That's the guy who actually failed his car. He talked so much and all that, blah blah blah. So that fear is inside us. As much as that fear, as long as that fear inside us, I'll never get another idea again. I'm living in that amazing fear. And then my suggestion for every single person is get rid of that fear. I think Jim knows more about it. And I was practicing for last 8 years, not 8 years, 11 years to become mindful. And then slowly my fear diminishing, my attachment to sort of things are diminishing. And more I lose that, and more ideas comes to me, and then more and more courage comes to me to go there and do things very boldly as well. So those are the things I can sell to you because I don't think if you are in Jaffna you get good ideas. If you are in Canada, it's better ideas. So you are in America, you can even get a better idea. No, you can have an idea anywhere in the world. It's just the mind. What's the condition of your mind is the one actually gives you the better idea.
Amazing points. Thank you, Harsha. I want to go to Jim now. Talking a little bit about the fear of failure. You know, that process when you originate an idea, but you almost immediately shut it down because you never know what the neighbors will say, what the family will say, so on and so forth. Any thoughts here? How someone as a first-time entrepreneur can actually overcome that and push through? One direction that Harsha mentioned is actually being mindful, so that actually you can reduce the stress and push forward and focus more. Your reflections on that?
Probably the source is that I want to learn that my thoughts are my thoughts and your thoughts are your thoughts. And if you want to think badly of me, that's your problem, not my problem. My stance is to think well of you. That's my responsibility because that's the only thing I can control, my thought. I can't control your thought. I want you to think well of me, but if you don't, it's none of my business. This is a basic kind of feeling that you have to get to. I'm not going to worry about your thinking about me. First of all, it clouds our thinking, and that clouding of the thinking doesn't allow for creativity. It causes stress. If I'm worried about what you're thinking of me, I'm stressed. It stresses me. And if I'm stressed, the blood goes from the cortex.
Don't do that again.
That was my brain yelling.
Deep vibration.
It goes from, the blood goes from the cortex where you're creative. The neocortex is the newer part of your brain. That's what it means, neocortex. And the blood goes to the arms to fight and the legs to run when you're stressed. You get in a defensive mode. This is not the mode of creativity. Creativity comes from relaxing. From my experience, I call it relaxing towards grace. There's infinite potential inside, only if you can contact it. It's like, I tell people, when you're trying to remember somebody's name, and I can't remember their name, the more I pressure myself to remember the name goes to the next country. It goes to the next country. I'm pushing it away from me. When does it come? When I relax. And I relax off of it, boom, there's the name. So creativity is inside. I don't mind what people think of my ideas or me. That's their business. And those thoughts affect their physiology, not my physiology. So thinking badly of someone else or someone else's idea is disease producing. It's not health producing. Relaxation, health production causes more ability to have creative thoughts, from my point of view.
Thank you, Jim. We have a question from Madhushan from University of Moratuwa. How can we sustain ourselves in the business ecosystem if we do have the same idea that is currently in progress? And a very similar one from Colombo. It is hard to guess a real marketable idea for a venture, as today there are so many competitors if we come up with an idea. So I think here's a key element is like, how do we originate original ideas, marketable ideas, how you differentiate yourself in the process of originating ideas, where do you look, or if you already have, so there are two things. That's the first one, and the second, if you do have an idea that someone else has, and they are already competitors, how do you actually differentiate yourself? Maybe you take the first.
Yeah, so basically, for me, it's like most of the products that we have developed always had competitors, donkeys of years of competitors. So we had, companies that we had a competition that those companies have about 15 years, 20 years, 30 years of experience of doing the same thing. So if you are going to be a product designer, if you are going to come into the market with a product, you should not be scared of the competition. So the competition is good because we know the competitors. We can always go to the internet, can have a look at it, what the competitors are, and then you can look at what their functionality is, what their features, what they offer, right? And then if you are passionate about something, and you can go there and offer something much better than what the competition is, right? So this is what I always do. We go there, we look at the product, we try to resolve the problem, and we don't go into a problem that thousands of people who actually resolve the problem. It's no point. We go to a place where only few people are in the competition in the very beginning, and then we make it something unique and something different to the competitor. Simple as that.
And build it.
And if you have something different, if you think that that particular something different adds value to the consumer, and then that way that your marketable, your product marketability is much higher than anything else. If you are going to go to the market with exactly the one-to-one comparison with the features and functionalities, then it's a hard job. And then it depends on how much money and effort that you actually put it into market the product. And second thing is like how cheaper that you can give that same product. So that is the Chinese market. The Chinese market, you can do a comparative product very easily. They will beat you. It's very, very difficult to beat the Chinese market with the pricing. So only way you have to have something in quality or something much better than or much better functionality than anybody else. Even today, recently, I'm evaluating some of the products, and then only thing I've seen is like these new Chinese companies are coming up something addition, right? So that way that they are cheap, but also they have something more to offer than anybody else. So that's the only way. So the competition is not something you should be worried about. There is not a single place in the market that or single product that I came across. There is not a single competitor unless you go there and develop even a solution for cancer or something like that. Nobody has ever found it before. Except that I don't see anywhere else any product that without a competition. Something is already there.
Great, great. So Jim, where would you look? Where would you advise our entrepreneurs to look for new ideas, original ideas, new approaches, new market segments, maybe spaces that are not yet covered, or even if they are covered, they are at the beginning. So our entrepreneurs can build a truly innovative products and services that could actually conquer Sri Lankan market, but also be competitive in other markets nearby and globally.
I think first we have to have a segment of the market that we might be passionate about. There's a need, and I have the skills. It's sort of like skills, needs, want to do something from a certain segment of the market come together for me.
Intersection. Yeah,
it intersects. And then I just have the intention to look in that direction. So for instance, I don't know if you've ever dropped your phone down into the seat, you know, in between the seat.
Yeah.
Drop your phone down in there, or drop your keys in there, or drop anything in there, right? So if I were looking to, I want to improve the car. I want to improve what happens in my car. I dropped that thing so many times that I said, I have to invent something to stop this. So I went online. Is there anything like that? Yes. There were 15 things that you could stick down in there to stop that from going down under the seat, and now I have to stop the car and look for my phone or look for my keys, look for anything. Money, I dropped the money down there. So I'm looking for something in my segment that needs to be improved, not invented. I don't have to invent, I need to improve. I can innovate rather than invent. Invent is difficult. Innovate, every single part of this building, probably I could innovate, make this better. I can make something better. So I'm looking for something I can make better. And then maybe cheaper, maybe faster to get it to you. Something that irritates people. You know, in the U.S. we used to mail things and we weren't sure when it's going to get there. And in business, sometimes we need this to be mailed overnight. And so FedEx came about, Federal Express. We guarantee we can get it there the next day. So I don't use the U.S. Post Office, governmental post office, to get my things there the next day. FedEx solved my problem. They improved that process. and they guarantee it.
And now they need to reinvent themselves because of the 3D printing.
Yes, that too. Yeah.
Full disruption. I want to invite also our colleagues here at the site at Trace. If you have questions, please talk to Indiwari here in the audience, and she will send me the questions as well. You are most welcome to also share your questions. Happy to report that we have a new location as a viewing site, University of Ruhuna, and we have a question from Sandaro from the University of Ruhuna. What do you think about sustainability of the startups, the tech startups in the country, and the effect that the venture capital companies can have on them?
I think it's best to answer by yourself.
Are you talking? Yeah, okay. No, I think he's asking me. So I think a key element, and we included this in the startup boot camps, it is very important to understand the investment philosophy of the venture capital companies and understand what type of companies are they looking for. Venture capital company, they invest in risky ventures, but they also invest in businesses that have a huge potential for growth regionally and globally. They are also looking for a specific type of venture that they can exit either through a public IPO or like a sale. So when they analyze the criteria and when you yourself are looking to build the type of ventures, what I would do is actually I will look in the portfolio of those venture companies and see what type of investments they have made, and more importantly, the type of investments that they exited, that actually went public on IPO or they got acquired. I would also go and talk to those entrepreneurs to really understand how they actually get funding from those venture capitalist investors. And for sure, some of the future broadcasts that we'll be organizing, they will be on actually how you attract capital for your venture and looking deeper at those criteria. We have a question from Adisha from the University of Jayawardhanapura. I'm getting better with my pronunciation of the university's name. Is from Adisha. I'm currently running a business, but I think I have entered the market a bit too early. Should I stop or keep funding until it prospers? Any suggestions? When is too soon? When is too late to enter a market?
Well, I have entered the market too soon. And a group of us created a toy with croquet, little mallets and balls on top of a like a small pool table, and we had the game. Boom. And we used to play it, have fun. We decided, let's produce those. So we started producing, and the story got out, and Playboy magazine, I know you've never looked at that Playboy magazine. Not me either. I've never seen it. I'm allergic to it. But Playboy magazine said, we saw this game, we saw pictures of it, we want to write an article, but you need to have, I think at that time they had 5 or 6 million readers, a lot more now, but 5 or 6 million readers. You need to have 2,000 of those tables in a warehouse, because if our readers want them, you better have them. So, okay, you write the article, we'll produce them. Next thing, the Chemiker Slemmer, it was a catalog. This was before internet. It was a catalog, and they said, we want to put it in our catalog, but you have to have 5,000 of them, because we have so many people. So, we didn't create 5,000, but we created a lot of them. And what sold that year was not manual toys. What sold that year was toys with chips inside. Teddy Ruxpin, a talking bear, talking this, a moving animal. And those sold, ours didn't. Bankrupt. Bad timing. Today, if you look online, you will find the game being sold. It's now selling. Who made it up? We made it up. Actually, a grandfather of one of my buddies made it up. And then we just decided to go in business. Wrong time. How did we know when, all these people were coming to us We'll put it in our book. We'll put it in our catalog. We'll write an article about it. We love this game. None of that worked. We needed luck, and we didn't have it. Timing was bad. Today, somebody's selling them. People are loving it.
So mine actually look at we do the charging networks around the country. So it was when we started off, it was lucrative because previously it was zero taxes on electric vehicles. Until this recently they decided to charge 50% tax on electric vehicle. That nobody has ever in the world has done it, and we managed to do that, and to tax the electric vehicles. So since then, nobody brings the cars over here. So if I look back, and you can see like it was wrong timing, right timing, but our production lines, what we are producing, we kept it up, and we keep on going. Right? For me, I don't believe that it's a wrong time and right time in the market, because you don't know when the market is going to shift. Right? So if you can afford it, if you can still run it, and if you still have the passion about it, keep on going. There will be a day that the luck is going to change. But the advantage I have seen is like I have more time to make our product to become much better than what it was before. And then every single day we are modifying it and getting it better and better and better. When the market hits, we have much better, superior products than anybody else. So my advice is keep on going if you can afford it. There is no right time or wrong time.
Great. Thank you both, Jim and Harsha. I think we have one or two questions in the audience here. And Trace, if you can introduce yourself and ask the question. Until you... Yes.
Hi, I'm Chris from Plascom.
Welcome back, Chris.
Thank you. You talked about factors for creativity on the personal level already and on a society level. You explained a little bit what's helpful and what's not. What about the group? What kind of crew do I need to be with to be successful, to get something going and to come up with good ideas?
Group. Yeah, you have to originate ideas and get them going.
You don't want me to answer that.
Okay.
So for me personally, my beliefs are different, but it's going to go completely off this thing. So I always say to the people, it's hard work is very important. Your knowledge is very important. Your passion is very important. In my life, I was making money since I was about 13, 14 years old. I had a construction company when I was about 15 years old.
Jeez.
And I used to have about 50 builders working for me. So I used to have millions of rupees when I was very, very young. So then I destroyed it after that to go there and study. And then I became a beggar again, and then I restarted back again, and then I came back up again to where I am today. But what I realized over time was I never had the right people or wrong people or anything, but it was me that wanting something so bad, right? And then that's one part of the story, but there is another part of the story. I don't know how many of you will agree with me. It's actually, you call the luck, right? So that needs to be pushed as well. Whenever you have that luck part coming towards you, and then the right people will come right in front of you as well. That's something that I have seen. Even when I get some people who work for me, sometimes it's very difficult to get the right person. After a while, suddenly you turn up with this guy, say, bloody hell, where was this guy all this time? You know what I'm trying to say? So the thing that you need to change the luck is a completely different trick, right? So there is ways that you can do that as well. The way you do that is a very simple way, is the mindfulness, right? And being mindfulness, whatever that comes along to you, if you don't shake your mind, you are not taking it anger, you are not taking it aversion, if you are not taking it greed, then all these environmental things start changing. Your luck starts changing as well. So that's what I think, it happens, but I don't think that you can go right into a bunch of guys say that these guys are really good. And really good, like if you have a guys that who are really lucky, then you go behind them and they get actually gives you real serious amount of money because they also deserve to be multi-billionaires, right? And you are part of it. And if you can find that, then it's very good. But I think the good thing is like if you look at these kind of organizations are pretty important to give you the insight of what the different successful people or different knowledges of other people. They are quite important that in order to follow. And then I think my advice is to follow your heart and believe in you, and then the rest will just come around you.
Come in place. I have a connecting question to Chris' question is from Damit Rajapakse from University of Morotua. If you got an idea and you believe in it but not sure about its success, how should be the way to convince your teammates, especially the university students? How do you sell your idea to your potential teammates if they are university? I think we are moving into more team formation that you addressed a little bit earlier.
It seems to me that first you have to sell the problem like the pitch. People who have given a pitch, I have to sell you the problem first. If I can sell you the problem, then I might be able to sell you my solution. So I think this saleability is key. How am I improving myself in my ability to sell? And what that takes from me is confidence in yourself. To sell. We're all salespeople, and a lot of people say, oh, I don't sell. You sell every day. You're selling yourself all the time. And the other part for me is testing. I test my idea with people. So in my case, if I have to give a keynote, I'm going to test the ideas in that keynote on other people. So I tell a story and I watch. Are you responding to that story well? So I had to give one this morning, and on the bus and at dinner, I was bouncing stories and things off of people to see, does that work? Did that work? Is that idea going to work? So you saw all the ideas I put in my slides that I got from everybody.
And you integrated for today's CEO Summit.
Yeah, that's right. I integrated everybody's idea and their response to my story or my point or my example. Did that work? Did you understand that? And then I put it in the talk this morning. So if it was successful, it was because other people responded to the ideas.
And this is a key point actually. Once you identify a problem, if you are actually engaging your entire team in brainstorming about the specific solution that you can generate, so they are actually part of the process. They are not just you yourself, and then you make them part of the creative process.
Especially if you Q-storm, how many questions do we have to answer here? First, we do that. Mindstorming is really for introverts who can't think fast and come up with ideas fast like that. So you let them think first, mindstorming, and then brainstorm. So, but before Q-storm, Asha is calling it mindfulness. I practice transcendental meditation to clear my mind. What that does is create coherence in brain function. Coherence in brain function means several parts of the brain usually emit different kinds of activity in a lack of coordinated way. It's sort of like if you ever hear an orchestra warming up before they give the concert. As soon as the conductor raises the baton, coherence. So coherence leads to better creativity, long and short-term memory is improved, and better reaction time, quicker thinking, more ability to focus for long periods of time. That all comes from brainwave coherence, brainwave synchrony it's called, versus confusion, lack of focus. So I agree, whatever technique you use to create that coherence or clarity or mindfulness described here, you need a technique. You need a technique. So beforehand, we practice TM in the other room to come here and prepare ourselves, brain and body, to be clear.
Great. Thank you, Jim. I think we have a question from the audience here in Trace. And if you can introduce yourself and the question.
Yeah, hi, my name is Pradika, and so my question is, so the Sri Lankan population is fractured into many social groups, either by class or by their geographical location, or even just by being disconnected from the internet. And this divide keeps us from developing an ambient creativity. How can we make it more affordable or accessible for the less privileged to venture out? Yeah.
Or to venture frontier.
I suppose.
I can give some ideas here, and so first of all, the events like this one, we are very happy to have partnerships with a number of universities that have students, I think, from across Sri Lanka. It is our effort actually to reach the nationwide audience of Sri Lanka and actually provide access to all these type of ideas. One is by participating in this type of programs. We have several viewing sites. For the next one we want to do, we want to have maybe 20 viewing sites across the country where people are connected and they can actually participate and ask questions. Secondly, what we will do is we will actually process all these ideas and answers here, and we will produce what we call an infographic, like a visual summary of all the Q&As, questions and answers from today, and translate it in both Sinhala and Tamil. Of course, it will be in English as well and disseminated broadly. The other key element that we can do is actually partner with radio station and TV stations so that we can actually make this type of content available across the country to different type of mediums, media and mediums. But if you have any other ideas, Harsha?
Yeah,
or
so I don't 100% agree with what less privilege means, right? So because I was sleeping in tube stations and bus holes and stuff like that, and I was a very poor guy. When I was in UK trying to survive as a student and not having money to buy food and stuff like that. So I was less privileged as well, and I know how a beggar feel and and things like that. So it's just not less privilege, but it's about how much of passion you want that change. How much of belief that you have that you can change and you can actually do anything what you like. So I right now feel less privileged because if I want to do some of the stuff in this country, it becomes virtually impossible because we don't have the exact machineries that's been required. In order to do certain toolings are not available in order to do certain type of manufacturing. That way, if I was in China, I would have done it without no issue at all, right? So that's the type of less privilege that we've been talking about. You won't really do that, but you don't have the right tools and right things to do it. But still, we still do it in the way that we can do it, and then we make a massive impact and massive something visible. So, but I haven't seen this less privileged person who's really trying to do something, and there was no opportunity. But I see in a boy who was from Kataragama while I was eating a kottu, and he came and he was making little knives and forks and things like that. And he was only about 10 years old, and he's selling here during the weekend. and collecting the money and going back to again Khadragama side in order to support his family. He was the one who was running the family, and he was the one who was actually making the money over the weekend, and then manufacturing during the evenings, and he go to school as well. So if there is a will, there's always way, and I think Venture Frontiers and all the other guys are always there to support it. But my point is, like, I haven't seen somebody who has that amazing passion, who was really in the ghetto, who really needs some help. When it happens, I think this country needs certain type help towards them. But I think we need to do that as a country, that we think just giving fertilizer free of charge is helping. It's not helping, it's killing the industry, because they are trying to make produce or any vegetables or any this thing from government subsidies. They are not going to manufacture something competitive into the world, because they don't care. They think we get the fertilizer free of charge, we get water free of charge, and we want somebody to buy at a given rate as well. So if you go there and ask the farmers, they don't have no knowledge about competition. Like recently I saw pumpkins, right? So those pumpkins, every single farmer has grown pumpkins, and it was over the limit. And then a lot of some of the supermarkets are going to help them out by buying them from their own money and as a charity thing. And my first question is, like, why the hell they grow pumpkins? Every single person grow pumpkin. Why can't they grow something else? So my question, importance of market research and stuff like that. If you are even poor, no privilege, you still can do it. But I seen most of the good ideas came from people who went to rock bottom. Because for myself, I could not pay my bills. I was $120,000 debt. $120,000 debt. But I didn't even know how the hell I'm going to pay. I'm getting more debt as well.
Yeah.
But all I believed is, like, I have somewhere down the line, I was not scared of the debt. Right? I was really not scared of the debt. And then I was thinking, like, okay, what the hell? As long as they give me, I borrow more. Right? And then what can they do? And finally, every single thing turns the other way around, and I pay the debt or everything. But what I'm trying to say is, like, I don't see anybody who taking that level of risk. Whenever you go down to a bottom level, that is where you go. I think if you want to become an entrepreneur, my thing is become a beggar first. Once you become a beggar, you have nothing to lose. Not a professional beggar, but just a beggar.
Yeah.
And then go down the level, then you lose all this conceit.
Yeah.
Conceit is the best thing that you lose. Once you lose the conceit, and then you will do anything. You will do anything that takes. You will become the best salesman. I could sell sand to the Arabs. That time. I know if I walk into that, I need to make money. If I don't make this money, I can't eat tonight.
So this is about hungry. Are you hungry? And I will tell you a story about someone in this room. Okay, this person came to me and asked to borrow $59,000. I said, "What do you need to borrow $59,000 for?" And he said, "To go to Harvard for 1 year." And I said, "Have you got accepted to Harvard?" "No." I said, "First, go and get accepted to Harvard, then come back and talk to me." So this person gets accepted to Harvard. And I think I even had to write 5, 6, 7 letters of recommendation to many schools, but he got accepted to Harvard. He comes back, "I got accepted to Harvard." And I said, "I don't want you to borrow the money, because then you'll owe me the money. You'll owe the money. So I want you to find a scholarship to go to Harvard. You have 2 weeks, plenty of time." The guy comes back to me, "I did it. I got the $59,000. Where did you get it?" "Online. Online. From the Japanese who gave the scholarship to the World Bank. And I went, very good. See, he's hungry. The guy was hungry. Now I need $10,000 or $20,000 more for room and board. I said, you know, now I will get that $20,000 for you. That guy was sitting right here.
Public acknowledgement that thanks to the government of Japan and the World Bank for providing that scholarship.
But the thing is, the hunger and the fun and the personal focus. I want that thing, and I'm not going to stop to get it. And I said, you can do it. You have 2 weeks. Come back to me. And also, it's not easy to get accepted to Harvard. I know. I was not accepted to Harvard. Not accepted. And I was just like our friend here. I was from the toughest part of town in Ohio. No money. My father was a laborer, built safes. And if you ask me then, when I'm struggling, will you ever go to Sri Lanka and give a speech to people? I would have said, what, are you crazy? Going worldwide? You know, I can't even see myself locally yet. Who wants to hear what I have to say? Locally even. But personal focus. There's something inside you that won't let you go. It won't let you go. There's nothing capricious in nature, and the implanting of a desire indicates that nature gave you all of the elements to fulfill that desire. If it's really a desire, you will make it happen. Like our friend right here.
Thank you, Jim. We have a couple of additional questions in the microphone. We have a question from David from University of Morogua. Customers are just checking in the product, but no one is buying. Why do you think is that so?
So that's the nature of business, you know. So I don't know how long that the customer's been checking the product, but you know, sometimes in my life, you know, to get to sell it, sometimes I done about 150 demos and I get one customer. Sometimes I done 1,000 demos, I get one customer. Oh yeah, yeah. We did.
For the audience, just remember the numbers. 1,000 demos to get one customer. So how do you handle the first 999? No.
Yeah, so basically they come there. If you go to a show, they come there, you start demoing, you go there, they don't answer you, then come back again, there's another guy comes and they don't answer, because all my life I must have got actually back problem, just carrying my laptop from one place to another place just doing demos. So I don't think that, I don't know how many that customers have seen you. If they have only seen you 10 or 20 or 30, you haven't worked hard enough. So I think you need to do a lot more once you do about months in and months out of sometimes year or many years of doing, and if you don't get a customer, then you have a serious problem with your product, right?
A follow-up question is, how do you actually use the feedback from all the 999 meetings to actually get better for the 1,001 that will make the difference?
In my case, it was, they said that you have a great product, so that way I'm pretty cool about that I have a great product. But the thing is that they said, you know, you are too small for us to use your product, because in case something goes wrong, we can't sue you. You only have about, you know, a few people in the company, and then your company is too small for us to use your product. So that's encouraging. So that means that people start appreciating the product, but they had a problem with the size of the company and that I don't have the money. Right? So that's the reason I keep on going. I knew the product is good, and then the customers are also saying the product is good. It's a problem with this, the size of the company, but I kept on going and going and going and going, and finally we get, you know, we normally get about like 50 to 1, 100 to 1. We do 50 demos, so 100 demos, you get one customer.
And you didn't lower price or anything like that. You kept the price point.
We kept the price point. We actually be a competitive as well. But whenever you go into the B2B market, it's a waiting game.
Yeah, yeah.
When you go to B2C market and then the consumer is not reacting for your product, then you have a serious problem with the product. Right. So with the consumer market, you are normally have about 0.24%, 0.5%. That means 100 to 200 to 1. So if the 200 people are viewing your product and not conversion from one person, then you probably have a problem with your consumer product itself. So then you have to go there and rectify the product by yourself. So that's you had to have a slight idea about the 200 to 1, 200 to 2 kind of a thing. So that's very important. But if you are going into a very consumer, like if you are going into a drinks market or food market or something, then it has to be like 10 to 1 kind of a thing. If you are going for the travel product, it's always about 150 to 1. So if your product is, if you are not converting 151, there's definitely a problem with your product itself.
So it's key for the specific industries to know those ratios, so you know what to expect.
Yes, you need to know the ratio. It's better that you studied about the ratio. It's already there on the internet. And then if you don't get that particular thing, in my case, it was a unique product, and a lot of people are really scared to buy it and keep on demoing. But today I do that anyway.
I think both of you are very persuasive, because the next question is from Danushi Weerasinghe from Nujegoda. Are there any websites, forums, mentors that people with a budding startup can refer to in order to get more information on how to set up a viable business? So we have already people who are like...
I would tell them to read 1, 2, or 3 books by Michael Gerber.
Michael Gerber.
Gerber, and it's called the E-Myth, the entrepreneurial myth. And the E-Myth goes about talking about every segment of business and what to do. And he's helped people start thousands of business. If you cannot get a personal mentor, then get somebody through the book. And this guy's the best when it comes to entrepreneurial systems and how to create a system that will work. So Michael Gerber, the E-Myth, E-Myth.
And I want to invite our audience also to like our Facebook page, as Venture Frontier Lanka Facebook page, and also subscribe to our newsletter. What we will do is we'll prepare a list of resources with some additional resources from Harsha and Jim and from us that could be really helpful for all of you. So please join our Facebook page and subscribe to our newsletter. We have one more question from the audience here at Trace. So if you can introduce yourself and ask the question.
Hi, my name is Sandal, and I would like to ask, from all your years of experience and your reaction, what type of reaction do you expect when you pitch your billion-dollar idea?
What type of reactions should you expect when you are pitching your idea?
$1 billion idea.
A billion-dollar idea, yes.
Billion or billion?
Billion with a B.
With a B. B. With a B. And US dollars.
US dollars or rupees? For me, I don't know my next target to make a $1 billion company. So I haven't reached $1 billion. So I'm not qualified to do so. But billion dollar ideas is I think I studied about it, because I try to make a $1 billion company. But the thing is, like, $1 billion ideas, something that I don't think that this idea will become $1 billion. Because if you look at the history, like Mark from Facebook, he never knew that he's going to make a $1 billion company, is it? He had a problem with his girlfriend and he wanted to take the revenge, and he made the image comparison tool, and then suddenly he realized, I'm a billionaire now, right? So he was like that. And then I don't think even Steve Jobs, he was very passionate about the languages and the letters and stuff like that. and he create Apple Mac, he been thrown out, right? And then he create Pixar, and he suddenly realized that he make $1 billion. He never thought that he's going to make $1 billion, right? I think most of the people who actually make $1 billion from nothing, they did not know their idea is $1 billion. They did not know it's going to hit $1 billion. I mean, look at WhatsApp, right? If you know the story about WhatsApp, and the guy offered the entire thing to Yahoo and then to Facebook as a job or something, and finally he realized that there is a problem, I'm going to resolve the problem. He thought that he's landed with $1 billion. Look at what happened with Airbnb. Those guys were resolving a problem in an event in San Francisco or something, and then they create a little application without know who the hell is going to think that application is going to make the most richest travel company in the world, which comes to $35 billion, right? Nobody, and he doesn't even know, right? And finally that he became $35 billion. Snapchat is exactly the same thing as well. He was trying to resolve a problem, that other thing. So $1 billion ideas, you can't never go there and say, I have an idea, it was $1 billion. Never going to work, right? $1 billion is the one that I told you. That particular karma and luck is the biggest one, is pushing the $1 billion. It's not that I don't think that anybody can groom you to become a billionaire. You know, you can have that mentality, you can have that luck created over time. The billionaire is something that completely different segment to $1 million.
Part of our team is Gib Song. He's a venture capitalist from South Korea, now living in Vietnam. And he's really good at choosing companies. But he said that he showed how many companies are doing well out of 25. He said there were 3 doing well, 8 or 9 struggling, and about 12 rest in peace. They died. And he said if he could pick 10 to 25%, he's doing fantastic. He's really doing well to just pick 10 to 25% of every company he sees. And he said he made some really big mistakes about saying no to somebody, and then of course that company made $300 million in the next 5 years. But he said no, it's not a good idea.
There are some people that said no to Apple a while ago, and you win some, you lose some. We have one more question from University of Kelania. Let's say how to understand the best idea of mine, which one to develop if I'm a person with several creative ideas. Any criteria that you would actually go about to select the one that has maybe the biggest potential?
All right, okay, so what I do normally is like, I have so many ideas. So I think every single person, you know, in Sri Lanka or anywhere in the world, they have ideas. So having ideas is not a problem. Right? And when if I go to a beggar, he has an idea, right? In Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
You go to anywhere that, if you go and talk with a beggar, he has an idea. You know? So every single person I see, they have ideas. But what I'm doing is like in the morning to night I get ideas, but only thing I actually work on is something that I'm very passionate about. I look at the 10 ideas and I think which one I'm most passionate about, and that's the idea that I'm passionate about is the one that I'm going to stick with. You know, and
Amazing.
then I follow the idea that I am passionate about, and I'm let and see how it works.
Great, great. I want, we are ending towards the closure. I want to thank a special person tonight that has made all of our efforts happen. Is Indiwari Chandrasekhara. She is in the audience, if you can point the camera towards her, because look at the future of Sri Lankan entrepreneurship. Indiwari, she'll be working very closely with us for the National Ideation. Thank you very much. And for everyone in the audience, I want to thank our viewing sites at the multiple universities that I listed before. I want to encourage each one of the viewing sites to join us for the next events, next ideation broadcast that we are doing. and also invite everyone in the audience to actually connect with us and also organize future viewing sites so that we make sure that everyone in Sri Lanka learns about the wisdom and all the ideas that we are talking in the next iterations. We got so many more questions, some about agriculture, vertical farming, some about other sectors. I think it builds a solid foundation to actually organize future editions of this. And very thankful also to our team that actually has supported this, Tisha here, and also Kami and Amanda and Madeline and Heminda Jayawira, specifically from University of Morotua. We want to have viewing sites in the entire country. Any ideas you have for partnerships with the radio, TV stations, just let us know. This is just the beginning of a long journey, and very grateful to both our speakers. Thank you very much, Jim, for everything and all your support for Sri Lanka, for Venture Frontier Lanka, and also thank you very much, Harsha, for being an inspiration to all of us through your own personal example in driving with passion and determination all your ventures, and be a role model for Sri Lankan entrepreneurship and for all the support you provide to the entrepreneurial community.
And when can I buy that electric car?
Yes, we have an order here for the Vega car, live from the... Thank you very much, everyone, and I look forward to having you with us for the next program. Thank you.